But he was starting to feel like he was getting the hang of this. There was a way through to victory. He could feel it. He just had to keep running the Path of Destinies. With that, the book fluttered back to the beginning, and he fell into it. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens? Lapino. Apparently, the Mad Rabbit had sold a Pegasus that he did not exactly own. Lapino always wiggled out of trouble, given time. But he was out of time. Lapino's frantic message said that the Ravens were going to kill him for being a rebel spy. And that he had a clever plan. If the fleet reached him first, they'd string him up for that. Never mind the winged horse. Or so Lapino had told him over the far speaker anyway. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge by arguing that he hadn't actually stolen a winged horse. He'd only sold it. But wait, where was the prison? The village was empty. Had everybody fled the Ravens? That was odd. Renato had been here, at this exact place, at this exact time. But this time, there were so many more Ravens. Renato thought of the Iblis stone and shivered. He had no business messing with ancient, cruel artifacts. What he needed was his friends around him. Clear eyes, full hearts. Can't lose. Sometimes, at home, he'd wave his sword around for hours. A chest that shiny deserved to be opened. Yes, please. Had been the terror of the sandcastles when he was 2. Nice. That could be useful. Ravens were landing everywhere. The advance guard. He'd better get moving. If they got to Lupino first, they'd eat him for breakfast. Or a snack. Ravens weren't picky. If they got hungry, they sometimes forgot to interrogate their prisoners. Even top spies like Lupino. Well, unless he really was a traitor, obviously. Then they'd probably pin a medal on his chest. Dirty and bloody, Renato finally reached Lupino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Renato recognized the cards. It was Lupino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, we see this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter. That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power. Zenobia wasn't just the Emperor's daughter, of course. She'd been Renado's best friend in Sword Fu school. And you're still mad for her, the rabbit reminded him. They'd been close. She'd told him things no one else knew. But she'd never told him who she really was. She knows all the Emperor's plans, chuckled the Master Spy. She won't give them up easily. She'll tell the interrogators, all right, said Lapino. Taking her would change the game, all right. The city was already under Zenobia's control. I had to admire her efficiency. Renato shivered at the thought of Zenobia at the mercy of the interrogators. Could he really turn her over to them? But this was war. It wasn't meant to be pretty. He needed some way to break the ice with this wall, so to speak.
Why would anyone put his slinky collection in a strongbox, thought Renato. Any magic slinkies? Oh, there was something else.
Renato hated gogglers, but it freaked him out to cut them. So, what's this plan of yours? Use me as bait, said Lapino. And he outlined a slightly complicated plan that involved geese, a net, setting the Farfarer a little bit on fire, Lapino dressing as an old blind toad, and Renato hiding inside a monstrous watermelon. What could possibly go wrong? Thought Renato. Oh, go ahead. I'm sure you know better, said Lapino. The mysterious sword from the East made you so fast you could catch a fly with your chopsticks. If that's what you really wanted. Magical jewel. Bernardo couldn't wait to find a workbench. Ooh, a workbench. Did he have any jewels he hadn't tried out? He had. Bernardo slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek. How soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She became smoke. And he noticed he had a blade to his throat. Stay a while. Heard a familiar voice. Did you really think you could capture me? Zenobia said as her ship lifted off. Now I just wanted some privacy, Bernardo said. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you? And he told her why. His Imperial Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him immortal. But to seal the bargain, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. You're lying. She was furious. You can't prove that. I can. And so, they set sail for the Nexus. The scientists at the observatory have resurrected one of his victims. Well, he's not exactly alive, but he can talk, and he can't lie. You took a big risk. You know, I could just cast a spell to make you tell me where the rebel base is. And you wouldn't consider that cheating? She frowned. Ugh, fine. Let's go get your witness. The rebellion had started after atrocities that the Empire hushed up. Renato had rescued a priest whose order had been massacred for one book. He had slept in a burnt village. Dead kittens and puppies had come to tell him what the Emperor had done to them. Renato wondered what would happen if he jumped. Would he be rescued by an emergency platform? He'd once met a pirate captain. He used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again?
Ooh, sparkly, thought Renato.
She caught up with him. Don't you think I'd know if my father started practicing black magic? Why? Would you want to join in? Oh, no, I'd destroy his books and... All right, I suppose I wouldn't. She stopped. Troubled, he ran on.
When Renato went to the china shop, for some reason the owner was always nervous.
Renato had been searching for a way to save the rebellion. Lupino wanted to capture and interrogate Zenobia. But if he could show her proof of her father's madness, maybe she would join the rebellion. Imagine getting a horse up in one of these things. He would be cursing a blue streak. Dying, he thought. I'm the hero. Is a very cool sword, thought Renato. No, seriously. He couldn't feel his paw anymore. The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had taken care to burn the reanimated witness to cinders. Zenobia stared around, shocked. The scientists had been neutral. They had no part in the rebellion. Take me to your council, she said, shaken. I have things to tell them. It was what Renato had gambled on. The Zenobia would turn against her father once she knew his madness. But the rebel base was secret. Could he really risk taking the Emperor's daughter there? Renato reached Lupino by far-speaker Toad.
No, we should take her to the base,
Insisted Lupino. No, I don't trust her. Nobody changes sides that fast, said Renato.
I better go to the base. Let them know you've got her,
Lupino said. For some reason, Renato wasn't sure that was a good idea. Just meet me at the far side of the mountains. There's a shuttle here I can take.
Always has to be your way, doesn't it? Said Lapido.
Zenobia was still shaking as they got out. I didn't know, she said. The Ravens kept it secret. At first they sacrificed prisoners, then villages near the frontier, and then an orphanage. Kittens and puppies. Sometimes he'd come back to the palace and it was like there were glowing things behind his eyes. But I was so busy. I'll clear a path for us, Renato told Zenobia, so the Ravens don't see you. I feel so close to you. I think this is yours, said Renato, but he couldn't hear his enemy's answer. I don't have to clean up around here, he thought. Zenobia came up as he massaged his sore arm. Her eyes were wet. He's been saying strange things. He asked me to do experiments. And some were wrong. They are banished, right? Said Renato. Gone forever. I mean, he couldn't actually bring the old gods back, could he? She didn't answer him. That frightened him more than anything. What did you do if one of these platforms stalled? How about a floating platform that simply just goes to the top?
Ooh, sparkly, thought Renato.
Someone needs a bath. Well, they really needed to redecorate anyway. The new pathway made Renato curious. When I build my castle, thought Renato, all my gates are going to open with buttons, and all the levers will drop rocks on your head. This stone was incredibly valuable. Bernardo could sense it. Also, it still had its price tag. Bernardo wondered if he should have taken Zenobia to the rebel base for real. Maybe she wasn't playing him after all. After the bleak talk about the Emperor's dark secret, he was regretting his suspicion.
Truth was, Bernardo really liked the sound his sword made in the air.
They came up on an empty shack. He gestured her in. "Where's the base?" she asked, confused. "I thought we could talk a bit first."
Oh, you think I'm playing you? She was furious. I'm betraying my father who picked me out of an alley, and you think I'm playing you?
She lashed out. Her claws sliced fire into his face. Energy boiled in her other paw. But before she could kill him, he slashed his sword into her heart. She staggered. "I could have loved you, you son of a bitch." And then she died. Bernardo stood there for hours, unable to move. Finally, a ship landed near him. Lapino had brought the Farfarer. On board the Farfarer, Lapino couldn't stop grinning. "I can't believe you actually killed her. Why didn't I trust her?" Bernardo said. All he could feel was emptiness. "You killed the Emperor's daughter. You might want to run for it, if you care whether you live or die, that is." Since Bernardo didn't, he grabbed the wheel, and he sailed for the Imperial fleet. Bernardo had never felt worse. Zenobia had listened to him. He had trusted him. She had opened her eyes to her father's evil. Done everything he had hoped for. And he had taken her to a dirty shack. Was he so used to lying that he couldn't trust even the girl he had always loved? What's behind door number 2? He could see the rebels reeling back as he plunged into the ranks of the Ravens. He'd had to kill the girl he loved. But he'd also blown the biggest opportunity they could have had, to turn the Emperor's daughter against him. Oh, Bernardo could only laugh miserably. He was taking crazy chances now, swinging wildly. He expected the Ravens to take him at any moment, but they were running in fear. No one wants to fight a man who doesn't care if he lives. No one wants to fight a hero. Touché, he said, and died. A very clever engineer named Elon Muskrat had got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that. He was exhausted, could barely think. He wanted to stop thinking. The rebels were already finished, and he was the last. The Ravens were coming for him personally now, in waves. It didn't matter. He was slick with his own blood, but it didn't matter. In the distance, he could see her, embraced by a halo of light, holding her hand out to him. Had she forgiven him? Would she take him to the halls of the Valiant? Then he felt steel in his belly, and his chest, and his back. And he lay down, and he couldn't see her anymore. Oh, damn it. He lost again, and died. But there was burning Ubar behind him. He still had all his destinies ahead of him. But he'd learned another true thing. Zenobia still had feelings for him.